There, there have been blueprints put forward by the Heritage Foundation, the outsourced brain of the GOP and the Republican Congress, which was obviously a channel for Israel First money, called Project Esther, which called for criminalizing the entire Palestine solidarity movement on the basis that they are providing material support for Hamas, or they are HSIs, Hamas support organizations. And now they're trying to make good on that. But we have a constitution, we do have courts, we do have laws. And if everything you do is public and you have nothing to hide, then we shouldn't allow the fear to seep in. They should be afraid of us. And they are. I mean, that's what they're showing. They're afraid of us because the people are with us. Every single poll shows that not just the majority of Democratic Party voters agree with what we're saying on Palestine and beyond, but particularly on Palestine. Less than 10% of Democrats now say they support Israel over Palestine. A majority of Democrats say they support a full-scale weapons embargo on Israel. Close to 40% of American Jews state to pollsters that they believe Israel committed genocide, and a majority of American Jews state that they believe that Israel committed war crimes in Gaza. And a majority of Republicans under age 35, according to an amalgamation of polls, does not support Israel over Palestine. That's what they're afraid of. And so they're lashing out at organizations that bring people together to actually organize to do something about this. And, I think we should actually be satisfied with what we did and to escalate our pro-peace activities against this malign element, which is increasingly exposed. I mean, we saw Cory Booker, whose entire career has been funded by the Zionist 1%, the same Zionist 1% that has supported Donald Trump, that supported the Republican governor of New Jersey, where Cory Booker served, Chris Christie. Cory Booker is one of the biggest channels for AIPAC money. He was just humiliated at the National Cathedral by protesters, one of whom was wearing a Netanyahu mask, and walked right up to Cory Booker, who was soaking in the adulation of brainwashed MSNBC liberals. And the Netanyahu figure dropped wads of money right in front of Cory Booker, in front of hundreds of people, thanking him for his support for killing children in Gaza, for sending weapons to Israel. And it's these kinds of displays that are breaking through the propaganda. The desperation that we're seeing extends beyond threatening anti-war organizations, calling them Hamas support organizations, seeking to criminalize them. It extends into the mainstream corporate media itself, which has always, as we all know, been a vehicle for generating consent for wars and dumbing down the American public and frightening the American public. The corporate media has lost so much credibility among the public that Israel's operatives inside the US are seeking to buy as much of it as possible under de facto orders from Netanyahu. So we see what just happened with CBS. Larry Ellison and his son, David Ellison, bought Paramount from Shari Redstone, who was herself an ultra-Zionist, and then installed Barry Weiss, the face and voice of the Zionist 1% in the media, as editor-in-chief. They're now firing everyone at CBS who's considered woke, or who, Middle East correspondents who challenged Israel's genocidal imperatives in Gaza through, just straightforward reporting. And Andreessen Horowitz, the venture capitalists, have funded the takeover of TikTok, which was identified as a key vehicle for raising the consciousness of young people on the Gaza genocide. Mark Andreessen is an ultra-Zionist venture capitalist who is heavily invested in drone companies and Israeli death tech. And his partner, Ben Horowitz, is the son of David Horowitz, the anti-Palestinian late neocon agitator. So it's pretty obvious what's going on there. And this will just further discredit corporate media and turn more people to independent media. TikTok, if it disappears as a venue for young people to express themselves on Palestine or any other issue, they'll go somewhere else. So they're discrediting themselves and they're revealing themselves. And this is just October 7th has just been this great mask lifting moment where we now see the true forces that have always controlled us bare their fangs, lift their masks. And it's sort of like the final scene of a portrait of Dorian Gray, but it's a portrait of American Zionist empire.